Hello and welcome to Home versus House. I am back in my back garden, my back kitchen garden this morning after the rain. Guys, I love coming out here after it rains because it's just so nice and lush back here. The mulch has a nice rich tone to it, and so I'm loving it. So I showed this space a couple of weeks ago where I planted a kitchen garden in these raised beds and a couple of just perennial plants back here. This is a space where I've started developing late last summer, and I'm just taking my time with it. I created a couple of garden rooms, but today I'm gonna come on and just kind of give you an update on how my plants are thriving. All right, so we're gonna start over here. I have this blackberry plant growing here. Actually, there are two of them. And then I have my blueberry that's not looking so great, but it's still got some green on it. So I am keeping hope alive for it. I'm holding hope for it. Then in this patch, I have I believe it's coneflower that I planted here last year, and they're coming back. And then along this strip, I have some bearded iris that I planted last year from the front. I transplanted it from my front garden, and the patch back here is blooming. Some beautiful purple blooms, and the rest of them got some really nice green foliage. So let's come over here. So in this smaller raised beds, I did plant some cucumbers, and they're growing really nicely here. And then I just added these metal pieces. These were thrifted from my local restore some months ago as I was gathering things that I think I would need for the garden. And they were, I think for the three of them, I paid maybe 50 cents or 75 cents. So I have it here. I'm hoping that it'll act like a trellis of some sort for my cucumbers, but I may have to do something different, but I'm just gonna see if it will work here. Alongside here, in this garden bed, I did plant some green beans, as well as some peppers up to the front, some bell peppers. I'm seeing some sprouts up to the front. I think it's a combination of weeds and the bell peppers that's coming in a little later. Not sure yet, but I'm gonna have to just let them grow. The weeds among the tiers, so to speak, until I'm able to identify which is which, and then I'll just weed it out. Back here though, the green beans are doing nicely. The bugs are enjoying it as well. So there's some big old holes in the leaves, and I'm currently researching some kind of natural sprays that I could use for that this summer. And then I did add this trellis of some sort. So these are pieces of metal gates that my neighbor threw out last year. And I just took it, I used it as like a partition in other places in this garden before, and this time around I'm using it as a trellis. So let's see if it works out. It does also add some nice height to my garden to elevate it a little bit. So we'll see if the practical use works out. If not, I'll come up with something else. In between these two raised beds, I have my lilac bush growing. I did get a second one. And then I have this wooden duck in between them. The blossoms here a couple of weeks ago were They smelled so good. They fragrant the whole backyard. And they have since died out. And then this garden bed here, I have a combination of lettuce, spinach, and cabbage. And guys, I just sprinkled the seeds. I didn't plant them strategically or anything like that. And as they grow, I may just take them apart to give them some more room. Then alongside the edges of this fence, I planted some sunflowers. That's coming up so nicely. I did 2 rows of them. The back rows I planted later, and the front rows were earlier, so they're a little bit taller. But I planted 2 patches back here last summer, and they did really nice. So this year I had the idea of just using it along the fence here to create some privacy. I don't have my backyard is not necessarily fenced in, except for these garden fence that I put up, my son and I put up a couple of months ago to keep the rabbits out of here. So I'm excited to see how this sunflower patch or strip turns out this summer. I have a basket of weeds that I did some weeding a couple of days ago, and so the basket is still sitting out here. Along this strip are some other bearded iris that I bought over from my front garden late last summer. Then the inside of this fence, this black fence, another set of garden fence, I have some wildflower growing, and then on the outside I have some I think they're a combination of like pumpkins, summer squash and pumpkins growing along this strip. So I'm excited to see and to enjoy my harvest this year, and just to see the beauty of this garden and how it develops for the summer. And then over here, this is a recent project that I did to create like a garden room, and so I added some shaded plants. They're doing really nicely. Some ferns, I think a set of fern, a Jacob ladder, 2 variations of heuchras, and then an astilbe plant, and they are also doing quite nicely there as well. And then in this kind of DIY planter, I forgot what they're called, but there's some ground flowers that I transplanted here. But I also recently put some hellebore seeds in there. So I want to see how that develops. And then I have 4 hostas that I transplanted last summer that's also coming up with some beautiful foliage. So this is an area that I continue to develop as the summer goes by, and as I get some ideas for it. This other patch here is similar, the same plants from the first one that I have in this shaded area, and then I added a seating, just some repurposed wood that I picked up from the restore last year sometime, and I just created a little seating area here. I really actually created that so my dog don't stand on there and try to jump over the shorter fence, but it serves as a seating area as well. And then along this strip, so I have this juniper that I transplanted from my front garden. This is my last garden bed out here, and I have a mixture of things happening here. I have towards the back side, the last 2 rows, I have some sweet pea growing, and then towards the front I have some kale as well as tomato plants growing here, and they are coming up beautifully. I cannot wait to step off my back porch and come to this garden to get my herbs and vegetables this summer. Over here I have some majuka blossoming, and then in these cinder blocks I have a combination of things. I have some basil growing here. I have some cilantro growing alongside here, and then I also have this patch of bearded iris and some wildflowers growing here as well. Along the border on this side I have some more bearded iris. I did plant some corn in between. Not sure, I'm not seeing any signs of life yet, so I'm waiting for that. Another garden bed over here with some indoor plants displayed. I made these two tables, or DIY them. They were thrifted tables that I had before, and I just added this the top, a different top where I can use as a table for my plants, some more of my indoor plants out here, and then I also have these two boxwoods that I planted last summer, and the foliage is wonderful. I'm loving the greenery that has popped up and is thriving here within the last couple of weeks. Over in this patch here I have some two spirea plants, and they are flowering, and I love the chartreuse foliage that it's bringing to this space. And then here I have some watermelon and cantaloupe seeds sprouting here. My guava plant, or gara plant, is coming up. And then in this garden room here, which I call my lounge area, I have some more indoor plants alongside there. All right, guys, so that is an update to this space from what, 3 weeks ago, and what's thriving. Loving it. I hope this inspires someone to get started on their garden for the summer. All right, guys, take care.